I don't have a business partner, but because I've had that experience before, I know what it feels like when you wobble and when you doubt yourself. And I know you've just got to trust yourself. It's part of the process. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what other people think. I think we worry so much about what other people think, but the reality is they don't even think that much about you because they are too worried about themselves. And I
Yeah,
think the older I get, the more I realize that as well.
yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast series. I'm Prina Shah. I'm a host from Fearless Women Group. I am a holistic growth coach, um, Jay Shetty certified coach. And today with me we have Katharina. She's also a Jay Shetty certified coach, but focused on transformative life coaching for women. Welcome, Katharina, to our coach series. And I would like you to tell about yourself to our viewers, because what you have shared with me, learning about your journey, actually has inspired me. What you are doing with especially for the women. So please introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. So I am originally from Germany. I now live in England with my husband and two children. And I'm a coach now. I'm already on my third career now. So I used to work in marketing, and I lived in America for a while in New York, where I pursued a marketing career. Somehow I hit a point where I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And then I had an opportunity to start a fitness studio in London, which was a bar fitness studio. It's a blend of yoga, ballet, and Pilates. And I had always been very much into my fitness. I loved different workouts, and I was especially passionate about bar fitness because I had gotten to know it while living in New York. So I did my instructor training, and together with a team, my business partner, and a team of investors, we opened the first bar studio in London. So for a while I was doing that. It was really fulfilling. I loved creating a community of like-minded women where we exercised together, and we organized lots of events around wellness and fitness. Um, Later on, well, first of all, then I met my husband, who is English. I met him in London. We had our first child, and then we moved to where we are now, which is Alderley Edge near Manchester. I sold my share of the studio at the time, and then for the last 5, 6 years, I was running a couple of studios where I live now, again with a business partner, basically doing the same thing again that I was doing in London. Had another child, so yeah, basically juggling the studios and the lifestyle of a business owner while being a mom and raising two kids. And also, my husband, he's an actor, so he is not always around, so he would sometimes be away, so it was not always easy to juggle everything. But anyway, then I hit a point where I felt that what I was doing was focused too much on the physical health. And I think that's really important, but it's also equally important, or maybe more important, to look after how you're feeling on the inside and look after your mind. And I noticed that there were a lot of women around me that were just going through the motions of life, and they they had the perfect body, sometimes had the perfect life or seemingly the perfect life, but they were not happy. And so I started being more interested in helping people with how they were feeling. And I guess I was on my own journey of self-development as well, because I started questioning, what am I doing with my life? I want to really help people on a deeper level, not just with being physically fit, but with how they're feeling, and really creating a life that they want, a life of their dreams. And I well, I got into coaching initially because somebody offered me some free coaching. This was a friend of a friend. And I thought it was very powerful, and it really changed my mindset and perspective and the way I was looking at things. And then I was following Jay Shetty, and I got more into meditation and things like that. I trained in meditation as well. And then I saw that Jay Shetty has a coaching school, and pretty spontaneously I made the decision to invest the money to sign up. It was more of a gut feeling.
Yeah.
And initially, I wasn't really sure that I was going to do it as a career. I thought I'm just going to do this for myself and see what happens. Um, I just, yeah, I just trusted my gut. And then once I was in the school, I knew pretty quickly, this is amazing. This is what I want to do with my life. So, yeah, while I was in the school, I had my practice clients and I really enjoyed that. And once I graduated, I started setting up my coaching business. And then for the last year or so, I was still being involved in my fitness studio and coaching on the side. But 2 months ago, I went full time. I sold my share of the business because I that lifestyle didn't really fit with what I wanted anymore. And now um, I'm doing what I love. I coach women on all aspects of their lives, and it's really fulfilling for me. Yeah, that's where I'm right now.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey, Katrina. What inspired me about this story is I feel like you have clearly, listened to your own instinct, what for that phase in your life, what your instinct was telling, and you were just following that. That was very beautiful because you came here in like United States where you did your like study, you had the marketing career, and then went back, and then you actually open up like a fitness studio, which is a bar studio, and you combine a lot of different fitness like ballet, yoga, and Pilates into that. And that's where you can see you are very much interested in like learning different forms, different methodology, keeping that physical form, whatever helps, because different body can or different areas needs like different form of workout. So that's what I'm understanding from your journey. And then you got more curious about, okay, physically everybody can get fit, but then what about our inner peace or mental peace? And then that's where you explored this coaching. And now you are like full-time coaching to women, right? And would you share like what, because now as you share, it's like you are doing this full time, what coaching you are empowering women, what is this transformative life coaching for women means to you, and like what you are all doing in this coaching, how you are helping women, guiding women through your coaching, like what are that different areas in their life?
Yeah. So when people ask me what I do to describe it in one sentence, I say I help women create their dream lives. And this can be in any area of their lives. I call myself a life coach because I think all the different areas are connected. So if somebody comes to me and says, I want to grow my small business, then we start talking about that. But then we often discover that the the real problem is somewhere else. So they might be struggling with confidence, or they might not be happy in their relationship or their health, and everything will obviously affect their performance at work and their business. So that's why I would never limit myself to one area. Um, but with my background, because I have been an entrepreneur, that I feel like I am attracting a lot of women who are either already entrepreneurs who also have kids, so they're juggling their business and mom life. I also coach a lot of women who are in a career transition. Either they are in a full-time job, um, full-time employment, and they want to change careers to something totally different. They have a business idea and they want to work on their own, and they're just scared of doing that, and they're scared of the risks and what will other people think and what if it doesn't work out. And that's something I can really relate to, and I feel really strongly about empowering these women to take those steps. And sometimes it's also women who maybe were at home for a few years looking after the children, and now they're deciding I want to do something for myself again because I've been putting myself last all the time. Sometimes they don't even know what that is, but they come to coaching to explore why they're not happy, and then it transpires they do have a passion, they do have a vision, and then I can help them pursue it. And I really love that.
That's really beautiful because what I heard is like women with different background, different phase in their life. You are just like being their coach buddy and trying to help in their any transition that you are looking to to, or anything they are like struggling with their like maybe current phase. You are there to coach them to like navigate through that situation or phase of life. That's really beautiful. One thing, what you just shared about women who are entrepreneur but they are like struggling with their work life balance, and you as a mom also had that phase in your life which you just shared about in when you were talking about yourself.
Mm.
How first, like what are the common things that you see or common patterns that women are struggling when they are uh, like entrepreneur and also mom? What are the common things or challenges that you see that usually women faces?
Mm. It's often this feeling of never being enough and
Mm.
feeling like you're always falling short somewhere, you're not doing enough for your business, you're not spending enough time with your children, you're not spending enough time with your husband, you're not looking after yourself enough, and just juggling that. But I find most often it's the feeling where we need to start. Just everybody is enough just as they are. So I feel like that's where you need to start. So instead of looking at their schedules and saying, oh, move things around or do a bit more of that or less of that. It usually helps women a lot more that I help them see how amazing they are and that they are doing well. And yeah, often women, they just also need that outlet to talk because they don't have anyone else apart from their coach, like me, for example, where they can just speak freely. And especially when you have young children, and you can't even talk to your husband in peace and quiet because you're always getting interrupted. And then once the children are in bed, you're too tired. And um, so yeah, I think it's the knowing that you're enough and keeping up the confidence that you are doing well. And there are sometimes practical issues that we also talk about. Like they might come to me and say, I want to make a change so I can spend more time with my husband. So then, we can explore those options. What are the options? But it's always coming from them. I don't give any advice in that regard.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it can also be a business issue where they say, I want to put myself out there a bit more on social media, and I'm afraid of that. So then again, it's more of a mindset thing. I help them see that their story is interesting. People do want to know what they have to say, and their story is what makes their business unique. So yeah, those are just a few examples.
I think many women, I think like when they are working, they always like self-doubt, like are they doing enough for their family? And if they're like doing for the family, then they are still like lacking their confidence to like so show up on the work. Say if any women who wants to like start their entrepreneur journey or they want to do like selfpreneur or mompreneur, do you do like just coaching or do you also do business mentoring? Like how you address to those kind of coaching requests that comes your way?
Yeah. I would say when it is someone that is running a business or looking to start a business, I do give a little bit of advice as well. So I do a little bit of mentoring if it's an area I know something about. But primarily it's coaching because I do feel what people really need help with is their mindset because everything else they can figure it out. I think the biggest issue is actually feeling this overwhelm and not knowing where to start, especially when you're starting a business from scratch. It's like you have this idea of where you want to be, but like, where do I start? Do I start with a website? Do I start trying to get clients? Do I start registering my business? And it's in many cases, it doesn't really matter what the order of things is. There's no blueprint to starting your business. And even if I had started the exact same business as them before, I wouldn't necessarily give them this blueprint of how I did it because there's no right or wrong way of doing it. And I think that's what most people struggle with, not just women that want to start a business. They want to have instructions on how to do it. And especially if you've been in a job before that was very structured and where you were told exactly what to do. But when you're starting your own business, you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to fail. You need to trial things and then see what's working, see what's not working, and adjust. So, that's what I used to do with my fitness studio. We would test, for example, different ways of marketing, or we would test different class formats and see what's the feedback. We would constantly seek feedback from our customers. And when you feel like your business model is not working anymore, then you can change it. Like we would maybe introduce a new type of class, like something new, exciting, something fresh. Um, and it's the same now with my coaching business. I'm experimenting with the type of woman I like to coach. I'm experimenting with my pricing. I'm testing different things. I've tested group coachings and I think you've just got to be willing to put yourself out there and not think too much about the future. Just think about the next step because otherwise it's overwhelming. Just think about your next step and then the rest unfolds.
What you like very rightly put here is each person has its their own way of doing things, right? There is no blueprint of doing anything. It's like it's always like personalized how you go about, how much you put out. And then what interestingly you put here, like the another point was like taking chance, going out there, and just focus on the next step and not like because yeah, like overwhelming is a real thing, right? Like when you picture, oh, you have to do this, and then you start feeling overwhelmed and you start feeling nervous and anxious and you just drop everything
Mm.
and you are so scared to like reach there and you are not even focusing on what's needs to be done, the next one, like the next thing. So I think like breaking that what you correctly mentioned about like bigger task in like smaller task and focusing on what's one thing that you need to focus for now.
Yeah.
That's very like and I think that applies to everything in life, right? It's not just business, but everything. Like if you are overwhelmed, and how you can just break things up and focus on one thing that you can do in that present moment. I think that's really beautiful of and like sharing and like going about, and that's the bigger part of like how coaching can help people to unblock and like unlock the real like the struggles that they are facing from moving from a point A to point B. That's really wonderful. But when you were talking about, right, like what I wanted to understand, I know like right now, because of the trial and error method, you have come a long way. But what's the one challenge that you remember from your like this past experiences that you overcome, like what you first like what was your channel challenges while setting up this, like, I mean, I wouldn't say like coming to the coaching, but anything like in your life, and what how you overcome that, that would give us more, give me at least like more perspective of like how you deal with anything that comes your way.
You mean my biggest challenge when setting up businesses?
You can focus on that, and then in general, like, any challenges comes, like how you handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think just like anyone else, in the past, my biggest challenge has been mindset, worrying about what other people think and worrying about failing and worrying about disappointing my parents, my family. Um, yeah, and but I realized that a lot of it is just made up in my head. So
Yeah.
like even when it comes to my parents, for example, um, they probably envisioned a slightly different path for me because everyone in my family, there weren't any entrepreneurs in my family. So everyone in my family, they would have like a stable job, and they would always, my parents would envision that that's a desirable life to live.
Right.
Um, and I realized that wasn't for me. So I went against the grain, and I went for what I felt in my heart was right for me. So so obviously whenever things didn't go so well, I started questioning myself. And then, if I found it then difficult to, if I spoke to my parents, I thought, oh, this is just a confirmation that, I shouldn't have done this. Or whenever I talk to, it doesn't have to be my parents, other people who are skeptical about, oh, starting a business, it's too risky. So whenever things didn't go so well, I would wobble. And but then I think what helped me the most was to surround myself with people who think positively. Um, and in my first business, it was really crucial for me to have my business partner and my team. So I had a business partner, and we were running the business together 50-50, and we had business partners too. And whenever I was doubting myself or worried, she would pick me up again. Or when I didn't know, I wanted to give up, or I didn't know which direction to go, she would guide me, and the other way around. So with my first business, I'm not sure I would have done it on my own. So it was actually really good to have a business partner. And now being a coach, I don't have a business partner, but because I've had that experience before, I know what it feels like when you wobble and when you doubt yourself. And I know you've just got to trust yourself. It's part of the process. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what other people think. I think we worry so much about what other people think, but the reality is they don't even think that much about you because they are too worried about themselves. And I
Yeah.
think the older I get, the more I realize that as
Yeah.
well. And even the things about like my parents or my family, I was picking it up in my head, although maybe my parents would have, in a way, preferred me having like a stable job. Now they are happy. They're actually happy that I do what I love. But I think sometimes you can make it a big thing in your head, what other people might expect of you when it's actually not such a big deal.
I think what you correctly pointed here is the subconscious conditioning which happens right when we are growing up is what happened with you. Like you thought because you have seen your parents and subconsciously you have fit that, oh, this is what is expected out of you, and we just live with this conditioning, oh, this is what is expected out of me. And then usually like people won't question or like think about what, oh, what I want, what I am good at it, right? It's just because this is what is conditioned, and then we follow that route, and uh, which never question. But what you did is you question or like start having that conversation within yourself, what you like, what you are good at, what makes your life more meaningful, what gives you like what fulfills your heart with purpose and meaning. So I think understanding, starting from there, and then like again, like because then there would be fears and self doubt that kicks in. But I think your self talk with yourself and knowing your own self, and then figuring out and overcoming that is much more like and that's what your success story is, right? Like you have overcome those blocks. And one another thing you mentioned about surrounding with positive people with right mindset, which uplifts you, then pulls you down. So I
Yeah.
think that's a really beautiful way to go about. And not just like setting up business, but like even in our day-to-day life, start understanding where those thoughts are coming, and are those like just conditioning. And I know it's very lightly you put, but that's so true that when we think about other people are not even thinking about our like of us that much. But we have this made up stories and debate in our own mind. That's really I think very like so many women would take this as a like like will help them, and like help them understand like where those self doubts, fears are coming, so that they can also like break them and start like functioning from deeper understanding of themselves and take chances, because that's what you did, like took chance with like in you, and now you are doing what you are doing, and doing good. So that's really awesome. uh,
Yeah. And what I also would like to add is sometimes women say things like, I'm not the entrepreneurial type, or I'm not a businesswoman. And I want to say that there is no such thing. So, for example, I'm introverted more than extroverted, and I don't know if I fall into what people might think is like a businesswoman. Like I'm not like a dominant person, or I'm not like yeah, I'm not extrovert, I'm not dominant, I'm not somebody that always is very sure of herself all the time. Um, but I did always have that drive, that internal drive, that wanting, that longing. And I think when a woman comes to me now and she says, "Oh, I don't have the qualities to be an entrepreneur," I help her see that that's not necessarily the case. I think the most important thing is that you have passion for what you do, and that you really believe in your service or product that you offer. And if you do what you do well, then people are gonna come to you, and all the skills that you need, like the business skills, you can learn them, you can acquire them. And also for a small business, you don't really need that many skills. It's not rocket science. You can learn these things, or you can outsource them to other people. Um and yeah, I just want to like um make it clear that that there's I don't think that as an entrepreneur you have to possess a specific skill set. I think anyone could be an entrepreneur that has the desire to do so, and that really believes in um in the product or the service that they offer, if that makes sense.
no, definitely. And what you just shared, right? Like it's a growth mindset, because there's a book, right? Like about mindset, when the skills, when you stuck that, oh, you don't have skills or you have to be genius to do certain things. No, the skills can acquire. You can learn different skills. It just the attitude of like learning has to be there. That drive has to be there, that you want to learn and keep doing and learning until you get better. So I think that's if that mindset shift happens, that's where you bring up the best in within you, whatever it is, and then you acquire skills when you are moving forward. and
Yeah.
and you rightly said so, because I think many women has this perception of like when we see entrepreneur or someone is doing, it has to be very aggressive, assertive form of way of doing. But there is also a different side to do things when you are also, if you are highly like EQ oriented, right? Like your, if your emotional quotient is stronger, you have to understand that strength as, that skill as your strength and not your weakness. But then what you can do with that is what you have to explore. And I think that's where the coaching can come like really helpful, that you're exploring your side, and how you can bring that which you are thinking which is your weakness and convert that into strength, and how you can leverage that to build something which you are passionate or you want to do something.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And an example of that is, when I say I'm an introvert, some people would think, okay, how do you get clients if you're a coach and you're an introvert? And I get my clients in one-to-one conversations with people, my network that I know through my fitness studio, or my network that I know from living in Germany, or from marketing, my marketing work from school. I I have lots of conversations with people, and people get to know me, what I'm like, one to one. And I don't need to give a big speech in front of a big audience. Maybe I'll do that one day and push myself out of my comfort zone, but I don't need to do that to fill my coaching practice. So yeah, that's just one example of what you were saying.
Definitely. And you said you are introvert. Can you explain like how you, I mean, one thing you just mentioned, like, because you focus more on one-on-one connection so that you don't have to put yourself out so much, which is not of your comfort zone. And also like being introvert and extrovert, if you have that, like, what the real connection within you, like you understand what you want to do and you focus on that, then introvert, extrovert doesn't matter because you're now following what is needed. um, but how being introvert, uh, what I wanted to understand, like how being introvert has helped you and has become your strength, and what are still the challenges that you are still facing as you call yourself as an introvert? Because I also feel I'm an introvert, and I'm sure like many women who are listening also would like feel that okay, being introvert, it's not a weakness, but how you take as strength and how you leverage that. So what you did right, even if you feel that you are introvert, had worked for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I would say, I think most of us, we are not always 100% introvert and 100% extrovert. So I would say I'm leaning towards the introvert. I was quite shy as a child, but I think as I grew older, I, came out of my shell a lot more and did things out of my comfort zone. I think being an introvert helps me now in the way that I'm very good with people one to one.
Hmm.
People know, I think when I talk to people one to one, people understand that I'm a genuine person, that I really want to help. And people and also know that I'm professional and trustworthy. So within my network, people would trust me as a coach. They know that I would always keep everything 100% confidential because I'm not a gossipy person and I never have been, you know? So I think they really value that trust that they can have in me. Um, and I think when it comes to the challenges for me, I there are things that I'm scared of doing, but I'm also thinking I don't want to limit myself by saying I'm an introvert. I do things that are out of my comfort zone. Like I've done group coachings before, leading a group, and I actually did that very well. And probably nobody even knew that would have, I was scared of that initially. Um, and so I do things that I'm scared of, and I'm growing. I don't think we should ever have like a mindset of saying, this is how I am. Like I said to you now, I'm an introvert, but I don't normally even ever really say that anymore because it's too much of a fixed thing. I don't want to say I'm like that and this is it, because we can evolve and we can change, and I don't like putting labels on anybody. So um I yeah, I'm doing things to challenge myself all the time that an introvert person might not ordinarily do. Yeah.
So, say for example, how you initiate a conversation to even start a one-on-one conversation. Um, do you do you feel scared to reach out anyone, or you feel okay to reach out to someone one-on-one basis?
I feel okay to reach out to people because it usually starts with just a genuine asking how they are. And I do a lot of listening.
Hmm.
And I've really come to understand how valuable that is. And I'm sure it's the same for you when you went through your coaching certification. I think I was a decent listener before, but I've become an even much better listener since I've become a coach. Um, People don't need you to say much. I've had conversations with people where they talk almost like 95% of the time. And then they've said to me at the end, "Oh, it was so wonderful to get to know you better." But I haven't said anything. But it's because they feel really good after the conversation. They feel good. And I know how that I know that it feels nice because I also have a space where, for example, I'm being coached with my coach, where I'm the one being listened to, or I have friends that listen to me. So yeah, I think in establishing rapport with somebody, establishing a meaningful relationship where they trust you is 100% number one, listening.
No, what you correctly said, it's very true because communication, we always put that or like relate it with more talking, but communication has a like more larger umbrella, like it's listening, body language, how attentive you are to someone, how like comfortable you make other person feel. It's a combination of everything, right? That's where the communication part happens. So when you get the feedback of like, even if you're not talking 90, like the 95% of time or like whatever, and then still they feel that got heard, like they felt, and that tells a lot about you as well, like because you are giving that space. So, and I think that's a skill that it's very much like not just for our coach but even our day-to-day life. It's very important to bring that, um, like if someone can cultivate, like that's awesome, because then you get like much more enhancement to the communication that you are doing while you are talking with other person. um and
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to just add to that, one of the things that I've learned, and I've become more aware of that with my communication with other people is, when something happened to somebody and they tell you about it, like something, that's like not a good thing, like they say, "Oh, I've just had this problem with my child and she was upset when I dropped her off at school." Or if they say, "Oh, I'm not feeling very well, I have this really bad cold." Often the other person will then respond by saying, "Oh yeah, I've got a cold too," or oh yeah, that happened to me. My child was upset yesterday," da, da, da," and then they take over the conversation. And often we do that meaning very well because we want them to understand that we are also going through that, and it's a way of connecting. But really, what it does most of the time, it hijacks the conversation and it takes the focus off of that person. So I
right.
have really started catching myself. If somebody tells me about something bad that is going on, I just don't say anything and I just let them speak. And I know that I'm really being of service to them at that time. And it's not really of service for me to say what's happened to me. It can almost become a competition there. Something worse happened to me.
I think
Yeah.
that's what being empathetic listener is like. It's what it's all about, right? Then you are acknowledging other person's feeling, being more empathetic and just being there for listening to what they are going through. um, I think like I'm like getting like really good understanding of what your like how your coaching approach is. Let's first hear from you, because what like I get this good understanding like you are helping women to break all their conditioning that has been like they have been raised since childhood. You help them to face their fears, work on their self-doubt, um, overcome any challenges, limiting belief that they have. But you as a coach bring up this very empathetic side of your personality and create this space of like listening and just be there for your client and understand what they are coming from. That's why I don't think that's why you don't have niche, because you serve your client their needs, and then you take from what they share, and how they can move forward with whatever they are currently facing. Is it my right understanding of
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, so I work very intuitively. I have a long talk with a new client before I agree to work with them. So I usually have like a short chat in the beginning and then another conversation that is 90 minutes long, which is always for free. Um, and I take that time to really get to know them. Um, and then if they sign up with me, um, the minimum is 4 months because it's either 4 months, 6 months, or a year because I believe in a long-term approach.
Mm.
But I don't have like a framework that I use, or like, like session one, we do this, session two, we do this. None of that. It's very intuitive. So if I found out in the very first session with them what is the main thing that they're going through, um, sometimes in the first session, but sometimes in the second or third session, we then set some longer term goals for the time that we work together. And then every time they come to coaching, they can bring any topic that comes to mind, and it might be related to the long-term goal. It usually is in some ways related to the long-term goal. It's not always obvious, but it's usually everything is connected. Like I was saying earlier, the long-term goal might be to increase the revenue of their business, but then we might spend a whole session talking to them about the relationship with their husband and how they're looking for more support from their husband, or how could they be more patient with their kids. So yeah, it's very like you say, it's very intuitive, and I just meet the client where they're at and fulfill their needs.
That's awesome. And you also touch upon you have got training in meditation, how you combine this mindfulness with what you are doing with the coaching, setting up the business, what your routine looks like, because what I'm seeing here is like uh, this entrepreneur who has his own fitness, like I would say a fitness center, and then you're now establishing as yourself as a more going into full-time coaching business. And then what is your routine that grounds you, and then you still are able to do everything that you are doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that comes up a lot with my clients too, because they're looking for their perfect routine. What I'm about to say works very well for me. I will say it's different for everybody. So I'm a morning person, so I wake up at 5:45 in the morning, and then I have a cup of coffee in bed, and then I do a short meditation, which is like 8 minutes long. And then I go to a yoga class. So Monday through Friday, I usually go to yoga every day, and I'm very lucky because there's a place about a 1 minute walk from my house. So it's very handy. And I do like a 45-minute class there. So it's like a short sort of power yoga. And then when I come back, my husband has started getting the children ready. And then I take the children to school. Sometimes he does, depending on his schedule. From 9 in the morning, I start coaching clients, sometimes online, sometimes in person. And then at 3:30, I pick my children up from school, and then usually they have activities that I need to take them to, like sports, like football, tennis, dance, and so on. So really, I try to keep that time when they come back from school. I keep that for the children. And very occasionally in the evening, I will have like a call, but I try to keep the time really free for the kids. So yeah. Um, it's important for me to have that clear structure in place. And then the weekend normally is completely for the family too.
Yeah. Um, do you find any struggle right now in your life when, like, you are mom, being entrepreneur? Do you feel there is a struggle while maintaining your work-life balance, or how you are balancing that off? I know like your routine looks like it's much more balanced, but I'm sure it's a day to day, it can be like, chaotic. So how you try to make focus on making that balance?
Yeah, sometimes for me, I can be quite hard on myself, and I always think things are not moving fast enough. And when it comes to work, I always have a long list of things to do, and the list never gets shorter, right? So I always add things on.
Yeah.
Um, So I just try to be kind to myself, and I have my own coaching. I have a coach that I see every other week. Um, yeah, just knowing that I'm doing well, and that I am enough, I'm doing enough. One of the other struggles is um, my phone. So because we have everything on our phone these days, we have WhatsApp, we have emails, and when I've picked up the kids and we are together at home in the evening, um, I try to put the phone away, but I sometimes struggle with that. So I break my own rules sometimes, um, because I feel so passionate about what I do. So when I've had a message from a client, I want to read it, or one of my coach friends, I have a lot of stuff going on my phone that is coaching related, and yeah, I am guilty of then sometimes grabbing the phone and checking. So that is probably one of my biggest struggles. But what I try to do is I put the phone in another room, and then I go and be with the kids. Yeah.
That's I think I'm also struggling the same. I'm not trying to compete with you, but I think that's
Mm,
a real struggle for us, and especially because now everything is online on social media partly. So it's has become our go-to thing to do anything, right? Even if you want to like look up or like researching on anything, it's like your phone that you are doing. So you're mostly on phone, and one has to understand like, oh, like yeah, block time, what is needed. And I think, but I believe like you are doing it well, because I from what you explained, it seems beautiful that you are able to find that balance. And I know like here and there, it's we are human, it's we tend to do, because sometime something can take precedence. It's not like you have to be on, you have to respond to the message. So I think that's okay as well. The key here is be kind to yourself,
hmm
right? That's what it's important, that just be kind, and it's not the end of the world. And then yeah. So, Katharina, that this is so lovely of knowing about you. I mean, we are from the Fearless Women group, but this is first time I'm interacting and learning so much about you. But there is like this few fun questions which I want to understand from your life, which gonna be like more lighter note about knowing about you as well. So, are you into books? If yes, then anything that you are currently reading, or your favorite book you want to share?
Favorite book that I read? this year would be Brené Brown, Gifts of Imperfections. Have you heard
Hmm.
of it?
No, but I'll look up on that. But I like
Yes.
the title of Gift of Imperfection.
Yeah, so Brené Brown has written a number of books and she gave two famous TED Talks. She talks a lot about vulnerability and that we need to be vulnerable in order to do anything really. When we put ourselves out there with a business or, in companies, if somebody presents a new idea, it feels very vulnerable, but we can only lead a fulfilling life if we're willing to do that. And feelings of vulnerability and shame are natural to all human beings. And in the end, all we want is love and connection.
Yeah.
And that's what we all have in common. But yeah, she could probably say it a lot more beautiful than me. But yeah, check her out. She's been pretty life-changing for me. And I often gift clients a book when I first start coaching with them, and I often gift them this book actually. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I would definitely check it out, and you describe it well because now I'm more interested to learn more from that book.
Mm.
Another thing, what's the fun activity that you would like to do in your day-to-day life?
I play tennis. So yeah, I love
Wow.
playing tennis. Yeah. And
Nice.
funny enough, actually, since I've been a coach or since I did my certification, my tennis has massively improved. Because it's all about up here. It's not so much about the physical, it's about when you miss a ball or lose a point, that you don't beat yourself up. You just think about the next point and the next point will be better. Yeah.
I know, right? Like it's so interesting when we did this. I mean, at least like same experience for me. Like when we were part of like doing this coaching certification, a lot of things started. I implemented a lot of things like self development, taking like first coaching my own self. That's yeah, that's how I also have experienced myself. That coaching has transformed within myself as well. What activities you like to do with your kids?
We like to go outside, go for walks. So where we live, it's very green here in England.
Wow.
It's a beautiful part of England. So we go yeah, we go walking through like parks and there's a nice viewing point close to where I live where you walk through. It's kind of hilly, kind of hills, and
Oh,
walk through forests, and then you have a nice viewing point from where you can see all the way to Manchester. So yeah, very much being outdoors. Yeah.
that's I mean I got vision and it looks beautiful, like green and hills, and that's beautiful. What you take to take a mental break? What you splurge onto?
I would say, let me think. Probably I'll go for a walk as well. So it's not really splurge in that sense, but when I need a break, especially when I spend a lot of time in front of my screen, I just go for a walk. Yeah, just to get fresh air and to clear my head. Yeah.
I'm sure it's lovely because the nature and the greenery will help you, like you will transport you to the different, like mental imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to share about yourself to our viewers? Anything like fun facts or any interesting part, any like hobbies that you do, any other creative side of yours that I might not know or our viewers don't know?
Let me think. I think I shared most of it with you now. Um, yeah, I think that's me pretty much. Yeah.
That's so lovely to know you, Katrina. I really enjoyed our interaction because what what I gather from talking with you is you are this like I wouldn't say confident, but like very self-assured woman, but has her own vulnerability, emotional quotient, and she's combining both and taking and moving forward with that. Uh, I'll continue talking with you otherwise, but thank you so much for joining today and like sharing about you with our Fearless Women group.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.